You are all welcome to today's business. I hope you are all duly and fully prepared for it. I trust you are going to get the best today. Thank you. Yeah, dear students, thank you very much. As we have told you earlier, that in this facilitation period, we will consider Nigerian mathematics curriculum, planning, design, and development. I am Dr. Samson Sunday Afolabi, your facilitator in this course. Now, at the end of this facilitation period, you are expected to be able to conceptualize and explain the meaning of curriculum, explain the process, pattern, organization, and development of a mathematics curriculum in Nigeria. Let's consider first the concept of curriculum. Actually, curriculum is a multidimensional in definition. As an educator, what does curriculum mean to you? Give a definition. Well, then let's consider what some authorities have said about curriculum. Wheeler said it is the planned experiences offered to the learner under the guidance of the school. And then Carr said it is all the learning which is planned or guided by the school, whether it is carried on in groups or by individuals inside or outside the school. Can you consider your own definition of curriculum? However, let's consider this one specifically because of the elements that are succinct there. It says it is the planned program of learning for the learners at a given place and time. This definition has some keywords and they are pointers to the intention of the society that defines it. Any meaning of curriculum that you see, that's the purpose, intention of that community, what they want to achieve with curriculum. So this definition says it is planned, so it has to be planned, not just anything that comes up. It has to be planned, and it is a planned program of learning. It's program of learning, program of instruction. So can you see that again? Then for the learners, who are the people, the audience, who are the beneficiary of the curriculum, adults, youths, or children. So it has to be identified. Then a given place is essential. Given place must define the geographical boundary or the location or where the curriculum will be implemented, and then the time, because curriculum has to change from time to time. Like I said, the definition that you know or you hear or you see because of its diverse multifaceted form of definition that could be given to it, whether it is philosophers, sociologists, psychologists. It reflects the intention of the nature of the society, what they intend to achieve with their curriculum. Now, what are the determinants of a curriculum? Number one, the society is one of them. So, the curriculum should reflect the aspirations and values of the society. It has to meet the society and cultural ideas of the people and designed to trend along the development of that society. So any curriculum in Nigeria must reflect the ideas and goals of Nigeria. Another thing that's a determinant of a curriculum is the philosophy of education of the society. And some question that has to be answered is, what is the purpose of education? The philosophy answers such questions as which education is worthwhile? What values and cultural heritage is society willing to transfer and perhaps transfer through education? So any society will answer these and similar questions differently. So nature of the subject matter, the nature of the subject determine the curriculum. What content should be selected? What content should be mandatory for all students? What content should be considered as electives? Which one should be as required? So this determines the content of curriculum. So the content choosing or selected must be relevant to the society of that child, of that individual. Then it must be meaningful to the learner. It must be activity based, with the child himself involved in the process of inquiry and creativity. Then psychology of the learner, determinants of it's also a determinant of curriculum. Psychology of the learner. Those who implement the curriculum, all those who design the curriculum should be able to envisage what is the psychological makeup of the beneficiaries, and they have to build this into it. What are the experiences, exposures of the beneficiaries? They must understand their background, their makeup, how they reason. And another thing is the theories of learning. Clearly, a sound and effective curriculum depends heavily on a well-founded theory of learning. There are various theories of learning. It must follow various type of theories that guide learning. Now, let's consider process of mathematics curriculum development. In designing, in planning and designing, and the development of curriculum, it goes in a cycle. First and foremost, there must be what we call situation analysis. Situation analysis. What's on ground? What do we have? What's our aspiration? What do we desire? Product of our educational activity, what should they become? What should they be able to do? What do we expect of them? So what do we want to achieve with education? What's the problem on ground? Where do we want to reach with education? So situation analysis is the first thing in the process of curriculum development. Then selection of objective follows. When we have define ourselves, who we are, where we are, what we want to achieve, and what we want to achieve with education. What we want to achieve without the curriculum content, then we select the objectives. And this objective will be our guide. It has to be all encompassing in all domains of learning. And then it is thus followed. Then we now select content of the subject matter. What should come into the curriculum? Which one will be relevant? Which one is appropriate? Which one will lead us to greater attainment? Selection of content. You said earlier sometime when modern mathematics was abolished. Told us sometimes when additional mathematics gave way for further mathematics. So all these things. So selection of content. Then the fourth is the selection of teaching methods. Having decided this and these are the content body of knowledge to be passed across, how do we pass it across? How do we teach? What method do we employ? What strategy do we use in teaching various types of content? That will be decided on time. Then we consider evaluation procedures. When you set up a curriculum, there is a need to decide how the curriculum has to be evaluated. How do we evaluate it? And then after evaluation of your process, Again, you now consider where you are. Have you reached where you intend to? What improvement need to be? You start the cycle all again. So that's how curriculum is planned, designed, and development continues through the same process. Let's talk about in selection of objectives. There are three categories or domains of learning. When you are selecting learning experiences, you have to consider which one is in line of the cognitive domain, the aspect of mental activities, aptitude, and knowledge. That's the cognitive domain. Then the affective domain, the domain of learning that has to do with feeling, emotion, beliefs, and values. Then the psychomotor domain, the use of motor in learning, the motor skill in learning. They are very essential, and our curriculum has to cover, our teaching endeavor has to cover all these aspects. Now, specifically, the cognitive domain in some years blooms, and his researching group in 1950s came out with 6 levels of it as knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, so that we'll be able to measure properly learning outcomes in this domain. As time went on, Anderson and Krator in 2001 said, no, let's use more efficient and more effective words that will make us to be conscious of measurable objectives at this point, and then he changed knowledge to remembering, comprehension changed to understanding, then application, we use the word applying, then analysis changed to analysis. Then at the 5th level, you bring in evaluation, which he called evaluating. And then, and lastly, he said creating is the last one. Of course, creativity is the climax of all application of learning and experience. Now, let's consider criteria for curriculum content organization. This curriculum has to be organized. So, after selection of content, next is organization of the content. Content should be organized in ways that will facilitate student learning. 2 ways of content organization are the vertical organization and then the horizontal organization. Now, the vertical organization refers to arrangement of learning opportunities or learning content within the subject area, so that what follows is slightly deeper and more complex than the previous task. So vertical organization is deepening of knowledge. It is an arrangement according to stages. So it deals with the relationship of learning experiences in the subject area over time. Let's take for instance geometry, which runs through GS1 even to GS2 and to 3. In hierarchy of depth of knowledge, in the same thing in primary school, you see geometry, but as you go from one class to the other, the concepts to be learned, the content to be learned is deeper and higher than the previous one. So you can see that hierarchy. That hierarchy exists in vertical organization. Then under vertical organization, we have sequencing. Sequencing, that means when you talk of sequence, it is the order in which curriculum content is presented. So sequences refers to the placement of learning content in such a way that development can occur in a sensible order, so that students can learn from simple to complex, from known to unknown, from concrete to abstract, from visible to invisible. So that's what types of sequences that are being. Evaluation procedure. Evaluation procedure. Evaluation refers to the process of determining the degree to which the objectives of educational activity or enterprise have been achieved. Two major forms of evaluation are formative evaluation, which is at the beginning of a program, or even as the program goes on as well. It will help you to be able to diagnose the immediate situation of the beneficiary or of the learner, and then the progress they are making as you go on in the program. Then we have summative evaluation, which is the final and the ultimate at the end of the program. Pattern of a curriculum organization. The pattern could be subject center, it could be broad field curriculum organization, or learner center, or core curriculum. Now, let's consider these questions, like what are the criteria for content selection in mathematics curriculum? Discuss the two major methods of curriculum content organization. What is sequencing in vertical curriculum organization? So, take time to ruminate over those questions and then explore and find answers to them. As we consider history of development of mathematics curriculum in Nigeria, actually, in most cases, the history of development of mathematics curriculum in Nigeria could best be studied by segmenting it into phases. This will support easy assimilation and attention on major facts in the trend of the historical development. Number one, take it from the pre-independence mathematics curriculum in Nigeria before 1960. Then 2, mathematics curriculum from 1960 to 1969. And 3, mathematics curriculum in 1970 to 1976. That is the era of modern mathematics. Then the period after 1976. Now let's consider features of pre-independence mathematics curriculum. Now, what are the features of the mathematics curriculum, mathematics that was taught during the colonial era? The mathematics was in 3 parts: arithmetic, algebra, and geometry. That's one. Secondly, the textbooks are foreign. You know the main implication of that? The language will be strange, the illustration will be strange, examples will be strange to the learners, and of course foreign to them. There are some things they will use in illustration in asking questions which students will not have idea. Thirdly, the existence of additional mathematics for science, engineer, and mathematics major. Then we also have pedagogy that was characterized with poor teaching methods. Group teaching method, lecture method, and that were not research based. And learners, of course, we find it difficult. There was that mythology that mathematics was meant for the gifted few. And so, because of this, the teachers were nonchalant about the low level of understanding. Because of this myth that, mathematics is for the gifted few. And so the society also imbibed the same thing. They believe the same thing. Many people, therefore, many were running away from mathematics. Now, let's move on to this phase. The third phase, evolution and abolition of modern mathematics. Modern mathematics started in all primary schools in 1971. Starting from Lagos, there was a full take-off of modern mathematics nationwide by 1974, including secondary schools, but this could not be done effectively in eastern Nigeria due to Civil War effect. The supporters of mathematics said modern mathematics makes mathematics more meaningful. That was their argument. That was their basis for the introduction. But then it generated controversy. Why the controversy? This modern mathematics. Why the controversy? Because the introduction of universal primary education by politically motivated agenda drew many pupils into the school. Then there was influx of learners into the school system during this time. Then there were no teachers to match the influx of students and the students. So the teacher pupil ratio was very high. So school dropouts were trained in grade 2 of teacher training schools. It was a crash program. They were not thoroughly taught. Many people just ran into it, given admission to be trained so that they become teachers of mathematics. So they were immediately sent into the schools to meet the urgent need. The teachers were not able to teach the new curriculum properly because they could not understand the new concept for its abstract nature, which was based on set theory. Parents were not able to help their children in homework and assignments. There were poor performances everywhere. There were noises as well. Newspapers joined in carrying the news of the dilemma. Then there was imminent cry for change nationwide. That's what happened in modern mathematics. Eventually, it was abolished. Now, let's take note of this. The Nigerian mathematics curriculum in the world perspective. The issue of curriculum development in mathematics was a global concern that affected many countries. There were a lot of workshops and conferences put in place. Of course, there was a Berlin conference. There was also the NTB mathematics at a certain time to develop mathematics. Now, something happened in 1951. That is the launch of Sputnik 1 spacecraft by the Russians. And this one was a challenge to the super world powers, and they felt that the type of mathematics we are learning was not adequate. And then the whole world, especially from America, started looking into the type of mathematics they were learning, and you started making innovation right from their end, and even various parts of the world, including Nigeria, since that time. So it's essential that we take note of this trend in development. So here we come to the end of this class today. Thank you.